based in Ontario here, providing affordable energy that almost 4 million Ontario homes and businesses rely upon to keep them warm and power industry and business. And we've been doing this for over a century. So locally here in Lambton County, gas service has been available for over 100 years. And we're proud to serve over 48,000 customers. And we employ about 175 full-time employees in the area. As a lot of folks on the call are likely aware, Dawn Euphemia is home to the Dawn Storage Hub, which is Canada's largest integrated underground natural gas storage facility, but also one of the top natural gas trading hubs in North America. And also, what I want to touch upon in Lambton County is we're in the midst of some major capital investment. So between now and in 2024, Enbridge will be investing over $550 million on proposed, approved, and currently under construction projects in an effort to modernize and reinforce our assets within the area. What comes along with this is hundreds of temporary construction jobs, but also add to the almost $10 million that Enbridge pays in property taxes each year within Lambton County. And the last point I want to touch on here, and most importantly, is our employees and their passion for giving back to the communities that we live and work in. Whether this is through participation in different organizations, boards, volunteer groups, or even as a youth sports coach, our employees are very active in the community. And this is seen greatly through our annual United Way campaign that historically has raised over $2 million, across the province, and providing a lot of benefit across the province, but also here in Lambton County. And the last thing I'll touch on is Enbridge does have a community investment program called Enbridge Fueling Futures. This provides financial and in-kind support for numerous charitable organizations and not-for-profit organizations. There's been some benefit locally in Lambton County with YMC Sarnia, the Charlotte Eleanor Engelhart Hospital Foundation, Blue Water Health Foundation, and the Salvation Army Corps. So hopefully, Alan, I wasn't talking to myself.
The map looks great. Now, did you have any more that you want to share at this time, Darryl?
I don't think so. I think we're good to move on, Alan.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if I can pivot for a second, and again, I alluded to it a moment ago about obviously the media exposure and the sensitivity to Line 5. Can we have a brief discussion just to bring the room up to speed at this time?
Yeah, sure. And I could tackle this one, and then if Steve has anything that he'd like to add in at the end, I'd appreciate that. So, Line 5 is existing infrastructure that's been operating safely since 1953. And, Enbridge has no intention at this point of shutting down Line 5. Based on unspecified allegations from the state of Michigan. The pipeline is safe, has been operating safe, and we expect it to continue to operate safe. And we have agreements in place with the state of Michigan to continue operating the pipeline until it's replaced with our proposed tunnel project. I think it's really hard to understate how essential the pipeline Line 5 is to the region. It provides a significant volume of crude oil for processing at Ontario's 4 refineries. And this ensures a cost-effective and reliable source of gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, among other petroleum products. But also in addition to, crude oil for processing, Line 5 is a key supply, a key gateway supplying pipeline for natural gas liquids, which is used in the production of propane. And propane is widely used for heating fuel for over 360,000 homes and businesses in Michigan's Upper Peninsula area. And it's also a key source for agriculture across rural Ontario and Quebec. So, I think we all got a glimpse last month what the impact of shutting down Line 5 might be with the anticipated disruption of the Colonial Pipeline in the Southeast United States, right? Line 5 provides Ontario refineries with about 45% of the crude oil requirements. and supplies Quebec with about 65% of its crude oil requirements. So, in the short-term impact would be significant, be expected fuel shortages and spike in fuel costs. But longer term, the expectation, what we would likely see is an increase in rail transport and tanker truck traffic, to land that crude oil at the refineries. So as I said, we do have a tunnel project that we're looking to, put in place that will modernize Line 5. This is going to use some state-of-the-art technology, and it'll strengthen the safety and environmental protection of the pipeline. And this is really consistent with President Biden's Build Back Better priority. We're committed to this project and looking forward to kicking off construction once, all permitting and approvals are received and in place. So maybe, Alan, to close off the conversation, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone in the community, local municipalities, local economic development agencies like the Chamber and like the Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership, but also the Government of Canada and the Government of Ontario for their support for Line 5, because it's really truly been, a Team Canada approach.
Yeah, thanks very much for that update, Daryl. Again, you had mentioned Stephen might want to make a couple of comments as well. But having said that, there's no question, when you talk about Team Canada, this country rallies together. I'm telling you, you guys called for some backup, and you reached out to all levels of government, chambers, and it ran up the flagpole, if you will, right from the Prime Minister's office all the way through the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, among other organizations, including the federations of agriculture in this country. We've all got each other's back, and we're not backing down from this one. So kudos to you guys. I'm telling you right now, this is huge.
Yeah, no, and sorry, Steve.
I was just going to say thank you, Alan, and I would echo, of course, many of Daryl's comments and observations. The one thing I would add is, obviously, we're in the unenviable position of having to sort of negotiate this out in the press, and that's certainly not where we want to be. And number two, we like to work well with government, federal, provincial, state. And this is unfortunate, but what I would say is I believe we're going to be successful working with the government of Michigan, and through mediation, we will find a solution that works. This is just an unfortunate, I'll say, blip, but I'm confident that Enbridge and the governments of Michigan will work together, and we will find a win-win here, and just take this right off the radar.
Thank you, Stephen. Those are very reassuring words, and that messaging we can get out to our communities, because there's no question. As a community, we're concerned about it. There's no question about it, and we're very sensitive to it here in Sarnia, obviously. But your words are reassuring. And yeah, it's a shame that we're duking it out through the media. That's not how you win a hockey game either, believe it or not. You win it on the ice, engaging and resolving. And we're confident that you'll look after that for us. Thank you very much for that. So aside from that, again, the title of this event today, this conversation with Enbridge on the future of energy. Let's start that conversation. I guess there was an announcement back in November from Enbridge on the future of energy. Can we pick up on that point, please?
Sure. And yeah, thanks, Alan. And last fall, Enbridge Incorporated, so our parent company, announced a new goal to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, with an interim target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 35% by 2030. So certainly an ambitious and bold plan and goal. But I really do think it puts Enbridge Gas, kickstarts us, and puts us on the right path to a low carbon future, which we've heard is what our communities and customers want. Today, 75% of Ontario households and business look to natural gas as an affordable and reliable energy choice to keep them warm, power critical services, and energize industry. And that's certainly a significant responsibility. And as a company, we recognize that there's a need to transition to clean energy. And so that's really why we're innovating, investing in low carbon areas. So to simply state Enbridge Gas's strategic plan for the future of energy, it's kind of four categories. It's green gas, less gas, more gas, and no gas.
Did you say green gas?
Green gas, yeah. And I also said no gas.
But you're a gas company. How does this work? How did the executive get that one passed?
Well, we're gonna dive into it here in the rest of the conversation of what we mean and how we and what those four categories really mean.
Okay, well, to back up then, and again, your goal is being a gas company. You're quoted as saying our goal is less gas. How is that possible?
Yeah, and this one isn't new to us. So we've been using the less gas terminology for a long time. So Enbridge Gas has been a leader for a long time in designing and delivering energy conservation programs with the intent and aim to help customers lower their energy use and save money. So it's not a new program for us. It's getting to be about 30 years old. We started in 1995. And these programs have reduced natural gas consumption by 28 billion cubic meters, which has resulted in a reduction of almost 52 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions. So overall, on average, about a reduction of 30%. So that's significant, and I'd say a program that has a long history, and we will continue to push that program forward. As I said, many of these programs have been in existence for a long time, and I have a whole bunch of examples here, but we'll jump into a couple of them, a few of them that I think are familiar and may not be familiar. So the first one is our home efficiency rebate program. This is for homeowners, and I think a lot of people are likely aware of this program. We do quite a bit of advertising and promotion on this program. And what this is, it allows homeowners eligible up to $5,000 in energy efficient renovation rebates. And it covers a whole range of retrofits, from insulation, new furnaces, windows, doors, a lot of options. And in Lantham County specifically, over the past 5 years, we've averaged over 300 homes participating in this program annually, on average saving about 29% in natural gas reduction per residence. And so, that's money in homeowners' pocket and a direct reduction in carbon emissions. But on the business and industry side, they also benefit from some very similar energy efficient programs. And again, over the past 5 years in Lantham County, we've worked on over 600 energy saving projects with local businesses and industries. And in these projects have resulted in a reduction of nearly 232 million cubic meters of natural gas, a reduction, of nearly 232 million cubic meters of natural gas. And that's over 475 tons of CO2 being reduced. So, I mean, that's a great story. And I think a great starting point for us to, kick off on our greenhouse gas reduction goals. But what I also want to touch on, and specifically important for Lantham County, because a large number of large industrial customers in petrochemical industry in the area is we do have a number of efficiency programs directly applicable to that business sector. So we have our equipment incentive program, which offers incentives for a wide range of equipment retrofits, from air curtains and door duct seals to a number of different retrofit options available. But we also have a custom engineering incentive program, which can help fund studies to identify energy saving opportunities, and also help with incentives to implement those energy saving opportunities. And a great example from 2020 and 2021 was with Blue Water Health. So Enbridge worked with Blue Water Health in Sarnia on a new combined heat and power project that is going to save Blue Water Health 1.6 million cubic meters of natural gas over the life of that project, and led to an incentive payment of $28,000. So again, very substantial. I think on the next slide here, we're going to see, we do have on our webpage, I would, it's up on the screen now. So, anybody out there, whether you're a homeowner or business owner, large industrial customer, if you're interested in learning more about our incentive programs, I would encourage everybody to visit EnergySmartSavings.com. I had a chance to tour the website earlier this week, and it lays out the programs much better than I probably just did right now. But certainly have a look, tour through it, and it does provide, as I said, examples of all those programs, how to get in contact with Enbridge to, if you're interested and you want to move a project or a program forward. But I'd also say, if you do have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us directly, Brian Lenny or myself, and be certainly happy to answer any questions, or certainly put you in contact with the right person within Enbridge.
Wow. Incredible, Daryl. Thank you very much for that. And again, people are looking for anywhere that they can save some money now, especially coming out of the situation we just lived. So the timing of this presentation is paramount, and we'll get the messaging out there for you for sure. Daryl, a minute ago, I jumped the gun, and to my surprise, you said green gas. Could you please take a moment and let us know what green gas is all about?
Well, Alan, maybe I'll stick handle on this one. The one thing I did want to say, and I don't know if Daryl alluded to it, but I do want to comment on the demand side management and conservation programs. I'll say this was over 20 years ago we started this, and this was, again, working very closely with government, the Ontario Energy Board, and industry to really do this before the demand was there. No pun intended. Before this became, I'll say, high on the radar. So, again, a lot of forward-thinking people in industry, government, and the Ontario Energy Board, the agency that sort of regulates us, looking at what do we need to be doing before we're doing it, right? So I think, I just want to acknowledge that. Now, in terms of, what is green gas or green energy? And, I'll start with a bit of I'll say 26 years ago, as a business fella with sort of accounting and business background, operations folks used to tease guys like me. They bring us out to the major operations storage. And, one of the questions invariably would be, where's our gas versus all these others? And the operations folks will say, take a look real close. Ours is the blue molecule gas. And, you didn't know what to say. It sounded ridiculous, but you didn't want to say anything. So what it isn't green molecule gas. So let me just start with that and say that, Enbridge, we're taking concrete steps to green our natural gas supply. And we're doing that by incorporating carbon neutral renewable natural gas, or commonly referred to as RNG. And what that involves is capturing and cleaning methane emissions from landfills and other waste sources, which otherwise would be released into the air. And I'll say, one thing we're quite proud of, Alan, is that in early April, Enbridge Gas announced a new voluntary overall emissions, RNG program for our customers that's really aimed at reducing overall emissions from an Ontario gas supply. So essentially, this is providing an opportunity for customers to participate. And what we're calling this is Enbridge's Gas New Opt-Up Program. And it will offer residential and small business customers who buy their gas from us the option to contribute $2 a month to help offset the increased costs to acquire renewable natural gas. And what I like about it is, well, many things, but two things stand out. It's risk-free, so opt-up has no minimum term for participation, so it allows customers to cancel their enrollment on 30 days notice. And of course, transparency is crucial. And so the charge for participating in the program will appear as a separate line item on their monthly bill. And I'll say the opt-up program will support the development of RNG sources to supply carbon neutral fuel in the current Enbridge gas pipelines and infrastructure. And again, I would say that folks that are interested can sign up on the Enbridge Gas website. I'll say, in addition to opt-up, Enbridge has also announced the development of the RNG facility in Ontario. It's located at the Walker Environment Landfill in Niagara Falls, and this will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 48,000 tons per year. And furthermore, we continue to work relationships and partnerships where they make sense. And a few weeks ago, we announced a partnership with Walker Industries and Comcor Environmental to enjoy a joint relationship to develop RNG projects. And I can tell you that there are many people knocking on our door to ask, how can we do this? And I guess perhaps as a reminder, in addition to greening the gas supply, renewable natural gas makes productive and economic use of landfill and other organic waste. I mean, it uses our existing pipeline infrastructure, right? We leverage it and we create local jobs and new revenue opportunities for municipal governments. So, again, these are some really win-win situations from my perspective. And if I could, I just would like to call out that, using RNG to fuel heavy transportation is key too. And it can get us back to our zero carbon footprint where, for example, garbage trucks can be powered by the waste they collect from homes. And a great example of that, by the way, is the city of Hamilton. They recently launched the first carbon negative bus that uses RNG produced from, London's Storm Fisher Organic Waste Facility. And, again, the city of Toronto, they've partnered with Enbridge to harvest the energy produced by organic waste to fuel the city's 150 solid waste collection trucks, reducing fuel costs by as much as 20%. So again, Alan, when you mentioned early on about innovation and pushing the envelope, I think, what we're trying to do is demonstrate here and other advocacy opportunities that we're not just talking, we're moving forward with this. And perhaps lastly, and this is just something you may have heard in Europe, and we're certainly bringing it here, and we're in play, and that's working on projects to blend hydrogen into the gas supply to further reduce the carbon content. And so we have a plant in Markham, and it's the first and largest of its kind in North America, creating renewable hydrogen to balance the electrical grid. And we have recently received the approval from the provincial regulator for a pilot to blend the renewable hydrogen cost or hydrogen into a portion of our grid. And so the project, I can tell you, I'm quite pleased, it's under construction. So again, we see hydrogen as a very critical component of our journey to a low carbon future. So that's a mouthful, Alan, and I hope that better explains when we talk about green, what we're talking, not only what we're talking about, but what we're doing.
Stephen, that's incredible. And I'm confident the average person out there figures all you guys do is sell gas. Like this is truly incredible. And thank you for that. It's a lot to take in. There's no question about it. But the initiatives are truly unbelievable. When you think there's so much media, people throwing stones about not working hard enough, quick enough on zero emissions or net zero emissions, you guys are well on your way. There's no question about it. And we'll get that messaging out for you. And I know everybody on this call will, for that matter. Now, just to jump back for a second, you did mention about the pillars of low carbon planning.
Yeah.
You also mentioned as one of those pillars, more gas as
Yes.
What's that all about?
It almost sounds counterintuitive when I just got off talking about green gas, but let me explain it a little bit, and I think it makes absolute sense. So there's two critical components to this picture, Alan. And first, I would say low carbon technologies for transportation. So we know the transportation sector is the single largest emitter of carbon in Ontario. So approximately 35%. And the bulk of these emissions are from heavy duty vehicles and buses that run on diesel today. So on the transportation front, we are working to lower the carbon emissions via transitioning heavy duty vehicles from diesel to compressed natural gas, CNG. And so what I can say, CNG can result in an immediate and approximately up to 90% reduction in tailpipe emissions compared to diesel. And I will say that City of London is using CNG power to power some of its refuse trucks. Currently, they're operating one side loading CNG packer. There's an expectation to have 4 additional rear loading CNG packers on the road in the coming weeks. And so you might ask me, geez, where do you fuel? Where do you get this CNG? And I would say, the CNG packers fuel at the Change Energy Enbridge CNG fueling station located at the Pilot Flying J Travel Center in London, just off the 401 in Highbury. I'm sure many are familiar. And, the point I would make too is I believe you can't advocate unless you put your money where your mouth is. And so to that point, I would say, London Enbridge office is home to the Enbridge Gas CNG station, which powers the majority of our local fleet. So again, it's not just what others should be doing, but what we're doing. And finally, there are approximately 137 buses in Hamilton now that run on CNG. And that's a partnership that is saving the city not only millions, but reducing their emissions. So there are lots of examples of us doing a lot more on this front, again, than just delivering natural gas, for sure. The second component, and this is one that obviously I think many people, perhaps on this call and more broadly, are interested in, and that is the natural gas expansion program. So this program from the provincial government has made funding available to expand natural gas service to rural areas where the current fuel source may be propane or oil. And as you know, both propane and oil are higher emitting fuels than natural gas. And with that, last year, Enbridge submitted projects to the Ontario Energy Board for consideration under this program. And so what I can tell you is we expect that the province will be in a position to make an announcement on the projects somewhere around mid-year. So I would say stay tuned, folks. This is coming soon.
Wow. That's incredible news. And I must compliment you as a company and a customer of your company. To your point, you're putting your money where your mouth is, but you guys are moving fast. These timelines that you're referencing are pretty incredible. And I, as a customer, I have to commend you for that. Again, the key, as far as I'm concerned, is delivering messaging from our perspective. If I could just jump ahead a bit, we also mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, or you mentioned one of the pillars being no gas.
Yes, and
I'm just a confused consumer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I'll tell you, I was a confused employee when we start talking about the pillars as well. But it all makes sense. And let me try to shed some light on that. So what we're talking about here, Alan, is really on the geothermal front. And I can share that, Enbridge Gas offers a geothermal program for homeowners and builders. So what we're doing is we're working and partnering with geothermal experts to ensure that the system is properly installed. And so you ask yourself, so how does this work? So what we have is what we're calling is the Enbridge Gas Geothermal Program. And there are really 3 key pieces to that, Alan. And so Enbridge will cover all the associated material and installation costs for the geothermal loop, which is installed outside the home. And we will provide the expertise and oversight of the installation, including ongoing maintenance and repairs to the geothermal loop. Now, I think many of you that maybe have explored geothermal, there is a fairly significant upfront cost. So I think, again, what the company's doing, and it's the right thing, is we're going to charge a monthly rental service fee for the geothermal loops, which quite frankly removes the barrier of the high initial cost to the customer. So again, that's sort of our play in terms of reducing the need for natural gas. It would offset the natural gas demand, right? So again, you can't heat the house necessarily with the ground source heat pump, but you certainly can offset some of the natural gas. And that's what we mean early days when we say no gas, right?
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. Is this something that can be retrofitted into a house, or is it new builds only?
Can be retrofitted, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good to know.
absolutely.
Incredible technology. Absolutely incredible.
We think so, and I'm glad that we have an advocate, and probably more than we know.
Absolutely. No, this is truly fascinating information today. And again, you know, as we all logged on to this, it's an Enbridge event. At least speaking on behalf of myself, I'm sure for some others that are on this Zoom call, we probably truly had no idea of the depth of this company and the foresight that you have. It's incredible, and I thank you for that. So having said all that and showing us a terrific array of slides, any closing comments that circle around this from either you, Stephen, or Daryl, either one of you at this point, as we do have a couple of questions showing up in the chat as well.
Well, excellent. I'll try to keep it brief, Alan, and I guess what I would say and like to leave folks with before we get into Q&A is that we're extremely, that is Enbridge, we're extremely proud of our over 100-year relationship with residents, businesses, and industry in the area. And we certainly look forward to continuing to work with you as we transition together to a sustainable, low-carbon energy future. And at this point, let's just go to the Q&A if we could, Alan.
Yeah, and I'm just going to make a comment. And for those that are on this Zoom call, and I mean, the world is just flooded with websites, but you must go to the Enbridge website. And I'm not going to propose questions right now to Stephen or Daryl, but you must read up on the development and purchasing of solar panels by Enbridge that powers some of their plants that are producing natural gas for us at the end of the day. It's truly incredible, a gas company using solar power, and I commend your company for that. Just to jump into questions, Karen Richards, a very good friend of us here at the Chamber, has a question. It is as follows. Do you feel the challenges created as a result of the hacking of a pipeline in the US and subsequent shortages highlighted the need for Line 5?
Well, I'd be happy to start with that one, and certainly if Daryl or I think Brian's on the call. I think it reminds us of the vulnerability. Oftentimes when things go smoothly, we sometimes forget how vulnerable we can be to access and the price escalation that comes as a result. So I think, again, you know, it's an unfortunate situation. We don't certainly hope that happens to anyone, but it does highlight the need to have security of supply and how very critical it is to this economy and the life support system.
Good answer. Absolutely good answer. Daryl, did you want to weigh in, or Brian, with any further comments?
No, I don't think I can top that, Alan. Appreciate it, though.
Thank you, Daryl. No, you're so right, Steve, in your comment. You know what they always say in this day and age, what's your backup plan? And again, we can anticipate pretty much anything and everything in this world. But as long as we've got a backup plan, it appears to be quite clear you guys have a pretty decent backup plan that we could ride these storms.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I respectfully say thank you. We have much more to do. There's no doubt about that. But I hope, if nothing else, people on this call and as we continue to talk more about Enbridge, recognize that we're working very hard to be part of this transition, and in leaders in most cases. And it is day in and day out. We don't figure that we have everything figured out, but we certainly are working very hard within and externally to make sure that we get it right on behalf of our customers. Right on,
right on. Thank you for that, Stephen. I'm I have MPP Bob Bailey has asked if he could take a moment and ask a question himself. MPP Bob, you're on the air, sir. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Alan. And thank you very much to the Chamber for hosting this today. I enjoyed it very much. I've enjoyed working with Enbridge over the years, and of course, more recently with the Line 5 issue. We did have an all party take note debate at Queen's Park, and I'm happy to say that it took a lot of conniving, but we got an all party support for the salvation and to see Line 5 continue. Sometime when I got more time, I'll go into that. But anyway, one question I have, my staff let me know that over time, and I'd like you to clarify it if you could. We had concerns from people talking about having ground source heating, heat pumps, etc. And they told us, and I wonder if this was an installation problem or if it's something Enbridge has heard. They said that they didn't feel that the ground source heating ever got, their words, got their house warm enough. So is that something that you have ever heard, or is that maybe an installation problem, or is that a concern you've ever heard from your consumers? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question, MPP Bailey. And again, thank you for your support on Line 5. The way that I would answer the question without understanding the context of where it may have came from, I would say that our vision is that, the ground source heat pump, along with a natural gas furnace as well, they would help offset each other. So to the degree you can get the house warm in a certain temperature versus perhaps not so much in a January, February, depending on where you live, it would be offset by natural gas. So it wouldn't be standalone, it would be complementary, I guess is the way I would answer that question.
Okay.
Is that sort of where you were? Does that help clarify?
Yeah, it was just that's good. My staff just pointed that out to me, and I often wondered if it was an installation issue or how people were expecting it to work. I did have a private members bill too, as I'm sitting here listening about CNG and liquid natural gas as a fuel for big trucks and garbage trucks, etc. And it passed as well at Queen's Park, and so I've had the opportunity to look into this quite a bit. But I'm very interested in the RNG, of course, and the sometime when we can go out again, I'm going to tour that site you mentioned there, that Walker Industries, maybe at Niagara Falls. So thank you. I'll turn it over to someone else now. Thank you.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, if you don't want to make the trip all the way up, I'm sure we could get to Storm Fisher. They've got a very nice operation here as well. Just outside of, just on the other side of the 401 in Wellington and within London. So I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities for sure.
Definitely, I'll take you up on that. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, MPP Bob. Great to have you here as well, sir. We have a question in the chat, and thanks for the engagement, by the way. This is a terrific session for sure. We have with us Crispin Colvin. He's with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. We love to hear from AgBiz. Crispin, by all means, please present your questions.
Thank you, Alan. Pleasure to be here. And to Mr. Bailey, I have a heat pump and have had one for a number of years, so I can be happy to talk to you about the system and how well it works and its drawbacks. My question though is, I'm curious about your green no gas energy, and I think it's amazing work you're doing. Kudos to you for this. How green can Ontario get in generating electricity with gas or other alternative sources of energy? And can compressed natural gas be used to generate electricity? And is the infrastructure there to be able to use compressed natural gas in generating plants? And I ask that because electric vehicles and so much more of our world is becoming electrified, and I see your company as playing a large part in that.
Well, I would say that first, a lot of good questions. Some feel like they're future based, and I don't know how long or along the continuum they might be. But I think what I'd rather do, unless Daryl's in a position to respond specifically, I'd rather take the time to take those questions back to some of our subject matter experts who have a better idea of when we might see, or if we could see that coming to fruition in an economical way. But I'll pause if Daryl, if you have some more information, and or Brian.
No, I agree, Steve. I think it'd be a good subset of questions to take back to our engineering team and sales team and get a better understanding.
Yeah, if I can just add, I mean, I'd say from the perspective of generating and certainly the need for natural gas and locally sourced, I mean, if you look at a place like City of Hamilton, really a leader in that from the beginning. Their wastewater treatment plant is actually injecting natural gas directly into the grid in the City of Hamilton right now. And we're certainly examining aggressively opportunities across the province for similar. One of the things that is certainly of interest to us, as well as the impending organics program being rolled out across the province in many municipalities, there's great opportunity there for renewable natural gas development locally, injected in the grid and used for generation or other purposes for sure. But yes, I think we should be taking it back for a bit more information as well. And we'll certainly contact you, Crispin.
And I would say too, Brian, we'd want to make it available to all participants in the chamber, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Terrific. Thank you. And thank you, Crispin, for chiming in from the Federation of Agriculture. Great to have you here, sir. Just to comment on that, we have a son that lives on the West Coast on Vancouver Island in the shipping business. And there's a great number of giant ocean freighters that are converting to LNG powered ships, which is just fascinating. And it's so much more fuel economical. They're saving a fortune, but they've embraced the technology and they're running with it. It's pretty exciting stuff for sure. And good, better for the environment. Another question we have in the chat. This one comes from Dave Machasek, Dean of Technology and Trades at Lambton College. Dave's question, do you see critical skills gaps that the college might help you enable some of the important projects that Enbridge has?
You know, I'll say one thing. Currently, we've been very fortunate with the skills that we require currently. Now, when you start talking about perhaps behind the meter and different skill sets, I'd say, you know, we should be working in conjunction with the higher education to ensure that we are developing that pipeline of skilled folks in anticipation for new jobs. What I don't necessarily know is what that looks like yet, but I do think the conversation should start, right? In terms of what are the programs, what is the skill set that's going to be necessary, not so much today, but tomorrow and beyond, to support what I'll say is as we see this transition, and rather than calling it electricity and calling it natural gas and the ground source heat pump, it's how do we bring this energy together and how do we service it and what does that skill set look like? So I think there's great opportunity, and we probably should talk, and start that conversation. So great question. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly. And I jumped the queue there. MP Marilyn Ledoux has a question. Marilyn?
Very good. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for hosting this. It's been a great session, and thank you to Enbridge. Of course, I'm quite familiar with Enbridge's operation from my days as an engineer, but I also have geothermal. So Bob, if you need me to tell you how it works, I can do that as well. I'm interested, because you have such a great strategy on, renewables. I wondered if you have a published net zero by 2050 plan.
Yeah, okay, so I believe within our corporate ESG, so environment, social governance, we do have sort of our targets and expectations as it pertains to that. And I'm sure, Brian, we can furnish that quite easily in electronic format for sure. The executive summary as well as all the detail behind it. It's a long read, but it's certainly
A
available.
good plan is a long read, so I'm definitely interested. I just see a lot of wonderful ideas here that we could leverage, so I'd like to look into it. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. So Brian, can we furnish that and make sure that that is made available?
Yeah, I'll reach out to our corporate partners and get that going.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, great. Thank you very much for that, Marilyn. Great point too, by the way. So having said that, I think we budgeted about 45 minutes for this conversation with Enbridge, and the clock is 2:52. I'd like to just message out to everyone here, if there are any more questions, by all means, I'll give you a couple of moments to input through the chat. In the meantime, I would be remiss if I didn't once again thank Enbridge, not only as a key sponsor, but a key partner in our communities. And I say communities with an S. Your territory, your region is massive. You cast a wide net. And as I encouraged everyone earlier, go to the website and get a feel for this company. It's a very human company. As much as their name is Enbridge Gas, they are humans. They are our neighbors. And based on this presentation, they're looking after their neighbors, believe me. So having said that, I don't see any more questions. I'm sure people have to freshen up and get ready for the next Zoom, whatever they may be. But additionally, I'd be remiss if I didn't reach out and especially thank MP Marilyn, representation from our federal government. That's very important. MPP Bob, great to have you here. Crispin, representing our agricultural field. Stay with us, sir. There's lots on the horizon, believe me. We won't forget you. To everyone else, I extend a sincere thank you for participating. I'm simply going to wish you well, wish you safe, be very optimistic, enjoy this sunshine. It's going to be a good summer. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.